Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my probably only Halloween themed video because I've been getting really behind on the videos lately and I apologize for that. And I was really hoping I could do more for spooky season, but you know, knitting, it always takes way longer than I think it's gonna take. So this is what I have for you for Halloween themed knitting stuff. So the first thing I'm doing in this video is a test knit. It is the Brioche Bolero by Mouton Knits by Ashlyn from Instagram. She has really cool knitting patterns. Definitely check out her knitting patterns. I've done a couple other test knits for her in the past. I did the Tessa Cardi and then the Saymont Vest, which are both on my Instagram if you want to take a look. I'll also link her Instagram and Ravelry page below. The first thing I'm going to make in this video is the Brioche Bolero because I've been neglecting it. I started it a few weeks ago and I kept messing it up, and it does have a lot of mistakes because I guess I'm not very good at brioche, at least right now. Or at least when I started, it was not looking great and there are a bunch of mistakes, but I restarted it like 3 times and I got to the point where I didn't want to restart it again. It has nothing to do with the pattern. Luckily I'm using black yarn, or I was using black yarn. Let me show you what I'm using. Okay, let me show you what I have right now. This is what I have. These you can see my mistakes. Maybe this side looks better. It looks okay. It looks okay. But I just like got to the point where I kept making mistakes. I like don't even know what I was doing. I would just like get around. I would just do a round and then I would come to a mistake and I was like, what did I even do? Like, how did I even do this? I don't know. So I just kept going over the mistakes and trying to correct them. And now I've finally got it down where I'm not making mistakes every single round. And luckily a lot of the mistakes are in this like black section, so they're a little less noticeable than if they were up in the like gray section. This is the first portion. I'm doing the first sleeve right now, and then I think you kind of do the shoulder area, and then I'm guessing you do the next one and then connect them, but we'll see when we get there. The yarn that I'm using is yarn that I got from Piedmont Yarn. How many times can I say yarn in a sentence? I got this from Piedmont Yarn in Oakland. And I'm using these 2 yarns. This, I've never seen this anywhere else, but I'm sure they have it other places. This yarn is Louisa Harding yarns. It's called Amatola Brushed. Yeah, Amatola Brushed. And the color that I got this is called Obsidian. And it started out with a lot of black on the top, and now it's going into this lighter gray, and there's more like black and light gray as you keep going with it. So this is kind of like this is a yarn with multiple shades in it. And then because the pattern called for a chunkier mohair, this probably would have been okay, but I'm holding it with this silk mohair. This is from the brand Essentials, and I think it's comparable to the Rowan silk mohair. I think it's like the kind of like budget version of the Rowan mohair. So that's what I'm holding together for my Brioche Bolero, and that's how I got this gradient, which will continue through the whole Bolero. So that's what I'm making first because it actually has a real deadline, which is Halloween for the test knit. And I want to wear it on Halloween with my costume. And the second thing I'm making in this video is, I think it's called the Bub Bonnet. It's by Lydia Morrow on Instagram. I really like their Instagram. They have like really cool knitting patterns. I was like tempted to do, I think it's called the Curio collar. It's like a clown collar, and I was pretty tempted to do that too, but I just don't have enough time. So it might be a post-Halloween clown video because I feel like we gotta do some clown content on this channel. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna knit the Bub Bonnet by Lydia Morrow in black, and I'm gonna wear the Bub Bonnet with the Bolero and then just like some black like sexy outfit because it's Halloween. And I think this year I want to go sexy instead of scary, because usually I go scary or like weird. Last year I was Violator from Spawn. One year I was the mother from Goodnight Mommy. I was Sabrina Spellman, like Sabrina Spellman from Netflix one year. So I haven't really done like the sexy Halloween costume, and I want to do like a soft version of that. Like it'll still be like a little bit nerdy because I'm like wearing knitted things that I made, but I think it'll be fun. Hopefully it looks good. But basically what I'm going for is like, I'm gonna be wearing all black with these little horns, so I guess I'm gonna be like a demon. I have about a week until Halloween weekend, which is when I'll be wanting to wear these things. So let's see if we can do it. I'm gonna try to get through the brioche bolero by Monday. That's in 2 days. Can I do it? Probably not, but I'm gonna try. So I'll see you when I have more progress. Okay, bye!
Few inches later.
Alright, it's been a few days since I last checked in. I have made a little bit of progress, and I have a Halloween party to go to tonight. So I'm hoping I can finish both of my objects today. It's 7:50 in the morning, Saturday, October 29th. I think I can do it if I like really like focus on doing it. So I'm just gonna film this clip real quick and then get on with it so I can actually finish these before my personal deadline. Real deadline maybe is Halloween, like for pictures or whatever, but I would love to wear it to this party tonight. So I've made some progress on the Bolero test knit, which I'm wearing with my Halloween costume. I finally like got the brioche stitch down, so I'm hoping the next sleeve will go faster because I won't be like thinking and messing up as much. So what I'm doing right now is I'm working on the portion that's tied in the front, and I have my whole sleeve done. So that's my sleeve, and it was this was the yarn. Remember, it's like it goes from like black to gray to white, and then I think it goes back to black. I'm pretty sure, yeah, there's more black on the inside too, so fun yarn. Yeah, so I have my one sleeve, and then you kind of bind off some stitches a little bit. It's kind of hard to show it because the yarns are a little twisted and they're like sticking. Okay, yeah, so my sleeve got a little bind off section for my neck, and now I'm working the tie, and then I just have to do the other sleeve, kind of attach them, and that's done. So can I knit the entire sleeve today? I think I can if I really set my mind to it and try not to get distracted. So that's that. I did maybe make the sleeves a little bit long, but I thought it would be cute and like kind of long and floppy. And then I did start knitting my little bub bonnet. I started it while I was working at one of my local yarn shops, and so I didn't film there. I just like was doing it while I was working because you can do that when you work in a yarn store. So I did end up knitting the entire bonnet, not the horns. I knit the entire bonnet. I haven't put it on yet, and I don't have time to block it, and I really wish I did because it's a little curly, but I think it'll be okay. It's a little pointy on the top. Oh yeah, this looks fine. So maybe I can just spray the little point with some water and kind of like wear it for a little while to kind of mold it to my head. But that's what we have right now. And I'm working an I-cord, which I think goes around the back. And there are some, you work like a few I-cords, so I have to check the pattern to see what you do with them, but eventually I think they tie to make like a cute little bow. And then I'll make my devil horns, or my demon horns in this case. I have my I-cord here. I got these, or I borrowed these needles from the yarn store that I was working in. They're like mismatched devil horns, but they're the same size, so it's working. I actually was like knitting this hat using 16-inch circular needles in US 5, 3.75 millimeter, and it got so small that it was hard to use the 16-inch wire, so I switched to double points, but I didn't have, did I show my face? Oh no, it's on the camera. I didn't have double points with me. And at the yarn store, they have this little jar of like single double points. And so I just like went through it and looked for 5 double points that were in 3.75 millimeter. And they were like all different brands. It was kind of fun. I was using like a couple metal needles and a couple bamboo needles. And it totally worked. Maybe it's a little pointy, but that's probably not from the needles. Actually, I did have one row where I like must have forgot to do a decrease because my count was off by like 1 stitch. So I did have to do an extra row. So maybe that's why I have a little point. But whatever, it's a horned bonnet. I'm probably not gonna wear it that much outside of Halloween and horny animal parties. Okay, well, I gotta get to work. So I'm gonna try to finish the bonnet this morning so I can wear it when I work in the yarn store again later today, because there's a little Halloween fair happening on the block and I would love to be wearing my little horned bonnet during that shift, and then I can bring the bolero with me to knit while I'm working in the shop. Hopefully I can get a little bit of the bolero done before I have to go to the shop too. I do have quite a bit of time before I have to go. And I ordered things for my Halloween costume and I used the wrong payment method. And part of me like had a feeling that I was picking the wrong payment method, you know, like expired cards and stuff, but I was like, no, it went through, it was fine. And then I checked like 2 days later and it was like, you need to update this payment method. These items have not shipped. And I was like, fuck. So I'm gonna have to run around a little bit in the Bay Area to just find a couple things so my costume is like a little bit closer to what I actually want it to look like. So I will have to build in a tiny bit of time to do that today, because once I finish working at the yarn store, I think most shops will be closed. So yeah. All right, I'll be back when I have more progress. Hello. Okay, it's been a few hours. I finished the I-cord around the cap. So the cap is done. It looks like this, with the little I-cord that goes around the back, and then it can tie like this. And now I'm doing the horns, and I did the first horn, which is right here. And so now I just have to like stuff it, and I have some yarn scraps that I think I'm going to use to stuff it. But this isn't flat, and I was knitting it with double pointed needles flat. So I think I might try to knit the next one in the round to see if that works, and just like follow the steps as they are, but do it in the round, because you eventually seam it anyway. And when you're done, you end up with quite a few stitches at the top. So I think it might work in the round too. And then I wouldn't have to seam it at the end. And we're trying to save as much time as possible at this point. So I'm gonna try that, and then this will be done, and I can move on to my bolero, which is gonna take more time. I was also able to do my errands in the time between the last clip and this clip, and I was able to get my like Halloween accessories. Unfortunately, it is like kind of the last minute, since I think most people are doing Halloween parties today. So it wasn't exactly what I wanted, but we're gonna make it work. And I mean, it doesn't really matter. I'm just wearing like all black basically, but I wanted like stockings, and I wanted them to be just like the classic like tights, like kind of sheer when you put them on. And they only had fishnets, so that's okay. It's like, it'll look probably very similar to what it would look like with the other ones, but I just had something in mind. I also had to get some really cheap shoes, which I don't love to do, but you'll see what it looks like later. So I'm going to try to knit the next horn in the round, and then I'll show you what it looks like when I'm ready to stuff it, and I'll show you what I'm stuffing it with. So I'll be right back. I finished my horns. This is the one that I knit in the round. It worked just fine. It was a little slower when I got to the top and I was working like 3 needles over 10 stitches. It was just like taking a little bit longer to, you know, pick up the yarn, move the needles. But I think I prefer to knit it in the round. It's like a little wonky looking, but maybe it's supposed to be. It definitely is supposed to have like a little funny curve. Whatever. And now I'm going to stuff them, and I have all this yarn, scrap yarn that I've saved. I pulled out the usable pieces the other day that I'm going to use to make like some scrappy socks. But these pieces were all like either too chunky or too small, too like short. So I'm going to use this as my stuffing. Let's see if I can angle this down so you can see what I'm doing. And then I have to stitch these onto the hat. Boop, 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 boop. Everything is finished now. I finished the bub bonnet in time to wear it for the Halloween parties on Saturday. So I was hanging out with a nun and a priest at the Halloween party, and I had a couple of drunk people say that I was a nun. Not sure what kind of nuns they grew up around, but I think it came out quite well. I do still have this little bump, but it's just because I didn't have time to block it really. And maybe the things I mentioned earlier in the video. But I think it came out really cute. And this, I did an applied I-cord for the first time, which was really easy. I actually really liked the process of doing the applied I-cord. So I kind of want to do another one. Maybe incorporate an applied I-cord in my next balaclava pattern, because I do want to do another balaclava this year. I think this came out really well. I had about this much mohair left. I think the pattern says it takes about 90 yards to make this, maybe a little bit more to make the horns, but it's really not that much yarn. And I have like half a ball of the sock yarn that I use left. And then I just finished my test knit for what is this called? The Bolero. And I think it came out really cute. I actually ran out of yarn, and that's why it looks like this, but I kind of like the like weird gradients. So the yarn that I had showed earlier in the video was just black and gray tones, and then I was holding it with some of the silk mohair in black. And yesterday when I was at the yarn store, I was like frantically knitting the sleeve because I was hoping I could finish this to wear it to the Halloween parties that were yesterday, but I did not because today's Sunday, the day before Halloween, and I literally just finished this. So I had run out of black mohair when I was working at the yarn store knitting this, and they didn't have any for me to buy. So I bought some red. It's the same, it's just in whatever the red color is. I threw the labels away, and I started doing the red at pretty much like the maybe 6 inches up from the bottom of the sleeve. So this is all red, and then once I got to the end of the tie here, I ran out of the yarn that I was using here. Unfortunately, I thought that I had bought enough yardage, but I guess I didn't. So this tie is it's these two held together, and then I had this gray silk mohair, which I think is from Shibui silk mohair in a gray tone. So I ended up holding these 3 together at the end for this, and it's not as fuzzy as the rest of it, but I think it came out kind of cool. Like, I think the bow looks really dope, where it's like you can see the different yarns in every part of the bow when it's tied. So I'm pretty happy with this. Probably gonna take photos tomorrow for this for my horns to post on my Instagram tomorrow on Halloween, and then this test knit is due November 10th. So the pattern for this will probably be out shortly after, maybe like a week later. And I'll link their Instagram below and their Ravelry page, which I think is where they publish. I'll link wherever they publish the patterns in the description box below. That's it. These were my little Halloween items. I am not gonna put my Halloween costume on right now because I don't have it here. It's at my apartment. If you follow me on Instagram, you saw what I wore to the party last night. It was a little slutty, but it was fun. And I think tomorrow I'm probably just gonna wear these horns and like pajamas and go to my mom's house and hand out candy. Let me know in the comments what you're gonna be for Halloween, if you're gonna dress up, what you're gonna do, if you're not gonna dress up but you're gonna celebrate. Let me know if you knit any fun things for Halloween. Did you knit Halloween socks? Because I definitely did not, although I really wanted to. October kind of got away from me and I didn't have time to do anything that I wanted to do. So I might have to knit some spooky socks another month. Also, thank you to the people who sent me their personal scary stories. I didn't receive that many. I had wanted to do a video where I told some scary stories this month, but yeah, I didn't really receive enough to do that video. So I would love to do something like that. I'm really interested in like the paranormal and the ghost stories, true stories, fictional stories. It's all very interesting to me. So if that's something that you'd want to see on my channel, maybe a little spooky knit with me video, we could do it outside of spooky season. I love spooky stuff all year round. So if that's something that interests you, feel free to DM me stories on Instagram. And if I can get like 10 stories, maybe less, maybe like 7 stories total, I could totally do a video knitting and talking about spooky stuff. DM me those stories on Instagram and I think that would be really, really fun. That's it. Let me know what you think of these items. Let me know if you're gonna knit this. I would definitely recommend it if you want a shrug kind of sweater and you want to try brioche. I really messed up my first brioche sleeve, but by the time I got to my second one, I was like really killing it with the brioche. I did not mess up once. This was a great beginner brioche pattern. I definitely feel confident knitting brioche in the round now. All right, happy Halloween. See you in November.